So just for everyone's information, this is Mindy Belsemeyer. I'm the Executive Director at the Illinois FFA Center. I will walk us through tonight's American Degree webinar, go through all the pieces of the actual application itself, and then address any questions that you may have. We are being recorded. So in that recording, all questions that you ask will get recorded, and I will hopefully answer the questions for everybody. So don't hesitate to ask me at any time, interrupt me, ask me a question if you need to. I will also, at the end of the call, make sure I go through everyone on the list and ask if your question has been answered or if you have any additional questions. So another way to ask questions is there is a chat bubble at the top of your webinar screen. You can type in any message there, and then I will respond to all and let all attendees see what we're chatting about. So I just sent a message. If you cannot hear me, please use the call-in information listed below. That's in the chat bubble right now, and hopefully everyone is able to hear me now. And I'm going to look at our list of attendees, and I see Blake and I see Alex. My number, let's see if there's other numbers. I see a 773610 number. Who is that?
It's Sheila Fowler.
Oh, great. Sheila, you can hear me okay then?
Yes, I'm all good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great. All right. Sounds good. So then let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we have to do with the American Degree application, because all of you would have easy record books or paper record books, being in your American Degree year, you're going to log into the application on the ffa.org website. And so I have already logged in. There's several ways actually you can get to it. One way is to go to the Participate button, click on Awards and Degrees. Underneath that is American Degree, and then over on the left-hand side is an Apply Here. And then it'll take you to the Application Center. Another way to do it is once you can open your dashboard. I'll open my dashboard, and then I'll just click directly on Application Center, and you can go that way. So then once you're on Application Center, it will give you your choices. I will click on that, and I'm going to open up the American Degree applications. Now, under my login information, I can see every American Degree candidate that started an application. So the benefit of that is for anyone tonight who would like me to answer a question directly on your app, we can open your app and look at it. And that goes for any time you call into the FFA Center. If you have questions about your application, don't hesitate to give me a call and we'll look at it. I've already asked Alex Ruiz, who's on tonight's call, if we can open up her application and begin to look at that. And so the first thing I'm going to do tonight on the webinar is go through the application itself, and then the next thing I'm going to do is go back to that listserv message that I sent and go through the American Degree information sheet. And that's just very Illinois-specific information. So those are the two things I will address tonight, and again, try to answer all your questions throughout the evening. Again, don't hesitate to let me know if you have questions, but we're going to go ahead and open up Alex's application. So the first thing you'll see is the instructions page. Just a couple quick things on the instructions page. As you move from page to page, it will save all your information. So when you see this blue, what I call old floppy disk pop up, your information is currently being saved, and so that's what that means. So all information will save. You can work on it, come back to it later. It will still, all that information will be there. There is a play button here in instruction number 1. It is a video, a tutorial that walks you through the application. It is very helpful if there's something we missed or you can't get through to somebody to get a question answered. This tutorial is very helpful. The tab key will help you go from cell to cell, so that's very helpful. You do start in order, so you're going to work on your cover page, then your basic setup page, and then your SAE page. If you only see cover and basic setup, when you get to basic setup and you select your SAE type, then the rest of the pages will fill in. So if you are sitting there looking at your own application and you only see instructions, cover, and basic setup, once you get to basic setup, the rest of your pages will fill in. And then again, you just do those pages in order. There are no decimal points on the application, so make sure you round everything up. Or I say up, giving yourself the advantage, but make sure you round to your whole numbers. Do not use decimals. The green question marks in the application are very helpful. If you hover over them, they will give you the definition in that blank, and it will also provide examples. So don't hesitate to hover over that green question mark if you have a question about something on the application. There is a checklist, and that checklist, everything has to say met or yes on the checklist for the application to be finalized, and for it to print without. You'll see what I mean about the draft here in a little bit after we go through the entire application. I'm going to return to the application manager really quick. For those of you who maybe haven't gotten started yet, I'm going to try to open up another app very quickly and see. So here, right here, this instruction number 12, this application is disconnected from your AET records. Click here to lock it. Most of them are going to say this application is connected to AET. Click here to disconnect, or click here to unlock it. Most of you will have to, when you start, the very first thing you're going to do is, after you read your instructions, is click here to unlock. This person has already done that, but you can see that they only have those three things because when I show you on basic setup, they haven't selected their SAE type. Once you select your SAE type, it will give you the rest of the pages. So we're going to go back to Alex's application. Any questions about anything we've covered so far? Okay, great. So let's go to Alex's cover page. The very first thing you're going to do on your cover page is click Load from FFA.org. And when it loads that information, it will load in as much of the information that you already have in the FFA.org website. So it'll load your chapter and FFA member ID number. That is information you can't input yourself. You have to have it loaded. So some of this information, if it's not in FFA.org, you just have to type it in. So the very first box is basically all of your logistics, and you need to just make sure you fill out every blank that's there. So Alex doesn't have her name pronunciation in here, but she needs to. National will not consider this a finalized application unless you do. So what's the best way to tell people how to pronounce Rui?
That's a good question. I wish I knew.
Well, and so is it it's capital R, and then is it a long U or a short U? I guess it would be a long U, right? So can we do a line? How do I do a line over the top of?
See, that's the other issue we're coming across is I don't know how to do the characters necessary.
Yeah, Ru, and then I'm going to say E, and that's how we pronounce Rui. But believe it or not, if you turn this application in without your name pronunciation, I'm going to call you back and say, please tell us how to pronounce your name. So that's what we're going to go with for now, Alex, and we'll see if they pronounce your name correctly at state or national convention. But they will. We'll have it there by then. So the next box is your school logistic information. You can see Alex has all of hers in here. The next box down is date of birth and your FFA membership information. And then the last box is your school and your GPA information. So basically that cover page is all of your logistics that needs to be done to complete that. Alex, I'm going to take your state degree year off just for now so I can show everybody what happened. Oh, I guess I can't. Sorry, I shouldn't do that to you. Look what I just did to myself. Yikes. Okay, we're not going to do that, Alex, so we'll come back to that. So the next page we're going to go to is the basic setup page. The important part on this page is your beginning of your SAE date. So it could be January 1st of 2012. It could be January 1st of 2013. Whatever your beginning date is, your freshman year, the first year you took a record book, ag class, that's where you're going to put that the beginning date. And the next thing you're going to do is select your SAE type. So Alex happens to have placement and entrepreneurship, which is really great, and we can see both pages. So once you've selected that, then you're going to pull out your record book. You're going to turn to your white pages, and it's page 6 in the white pages of your record book. So if you are Easy Records, it's the ending pages in the very back. If you're paper books, it's, again, those white pages in the very back. Page 6, you'll find your all of your numbers from your freshman year, that beginning date, the cash on hand, checking and savings, all of those in section 1, that's section 1, A through D, and then 1 through 4. All of those come from those white pages of your first year. Then you're going to look up your ending date of 12/31/16. Same thing, white pages out of your record book, page 6. Pull those ending values and put them in there. So this entire basic setup page is basically from those financial pages in the white pages of your record book. Down here at the very bottom, this is some really important information. I'm hovering over the green question mark so it gives you an idea of what's the definition of this, what is a cash gift, and what is an example. So you can see the cash gift is all of the cash gifts you've had for all of the years you've had your book. So you're going to add those all together, and then you're going to total that up and put that in that line, and those are examples of grandparents gave you a gift of $1,000, you won a scholarship, any type of cash gift of that nature. The next one is source of cash from ag-related, non-SAE, and personal earnings. So the examples of that are babysitting, winning a cash award, selling a personal asset. Maybe you own a car, and you're going to put that in as the money that you earn from selling the car, because the car didn't relate to your SAE, that money would go there. So that is that line. The next line is and again, that's for all 4 years, all many years you have your book. The next line is your total personal draw and expenses. This is federal income taxes, payroll taxes, any kind of meals, entertainment, if you bought a car, or if you bought Pokemon cards, or if you bought a new iPad as a personal expense. It's not anything to do with your SAE. Over the years, that number gets totaled up and it gets placed here. So for placement students and for students who are paying, and everybody who pays taxes, even your payroll taxes or your FICA taxes go here for all the years you had your book. That's where that gets recorded. And then any educational expenses you have. Now, educational expenses only include tuition and books, and that's what can be claimed there. You can't have living expenses or food expenses in this. Food expenses could come out of here, the line before it, but it wouldn't count as an educational expense. Any questions about the basic setup page? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go to the SAE Placement and Exploratory. So these are Alex's work experiences, and you can see that she started her work experiences in 2012. So that's how you fill out this page is you select your year, you select the cluster that you're working in. Alex, I'm going to put in an example of Bumpelmeyer Farm so we know to delete that here in a little bit. So once I've entered every one of those boxes has to have a required, even if it's 0, you need to put it in there, and then you click on Add. And now you can see that added to Alex's experiences and the money that she made. Okay? Now, if we want to edit that and change that, click on Edit, and then I can change her dollar amount, hit Update, and then that updates it for us. Since we know Alex didn't do that, and I'm just trying to show you how to make entries here, I'm going to delete that. So when we go to delete it, I click on Delete. It will ask me, are you sure you want to delete this item? And I'm going to say OK. So this is how we make entries on this page. Any questions about that? Well, I'd like to kind of highlight a couple things on Alex's. Her description is excellent. The more description you put in there, the more competitive your application will be. And not only do you want it to be competitive for earning the American degree, but if you want it to be our star candidate for Star in Ag Placement, Star Farmer, Star in Agribusiness, or Star in Agri-Science Research, this has to be very descriptive. It needs to fill up the box and more, because the more descriptive it is, the more competitive you'll be if you are star candidate. So very nice job, Alex, on giving us a good description. The next page is Entrepreneur. It works exactly the same way as the placement page. I'm going to put in another entry for plant systems. I'm going to say project name, Bumpelmeyer Farms. Again, just identifying it so we know that it's not something that she's really done. 20 acres. Soybeans. And then description, she got 87 bushels per acre. You can put, again, as much in the description as you want. Click on Add, and you can see that entry gets added. Again, to edit that, click on Edit, change anything you need to, click on Update. And to delete it, which we're going to delete it off of Alex's page, we're going to click on Delete, and it's going to ask you again if you need to do that. So this page operates the same as the placement page. It's how you put in your information. Again, the more descriptive you are, the more competitive you are, the better your application is. The next page is your income and expense statement. So this information comes from pages 11, 12, 13, and 14 of your record books that you have, whether it be Easy Records or your paper copy books. You're going to pull the numbers from all of your inventories, and you're going to drop those numbers into your application here. Two things I want to point out to you. If you are a student who has animals, and you can see Alex has actually done this, where she is, I'm not exactly sure what she's trading or bartering, but basically, a lot of students will work for their family farm, work for someone, and then that someone will pay their feed expenses for their rabbits or for their cattle or for their hogs, whatever their project may be. Or someone is paying an expense for them because they're working for them or working in that piece. So if that's the case, you put the value of whatever that feed is here in the labor exchange, and it'll get transferred then down to here. For non-cash expense, it was transferred from labor exchange. So anytime you have a labor exchange, you have to enter it in 1F and 2D, and that's for all labor exchange. The other area where transfer values can happen and take place is you can transfer values in 1F to 4B. And how that works is, let's say you have entrepreneurship and you have cattle, and you have a heifer who is bred and is becoming a cow, and you think that because that has taken place, her value has increased. Then you have to show that her value increased by $100, $1,000, whatever you say the value increased, you have to record it here in 1F, and then you have to transfer it down here to 4B. So anything, whether it be livestock or anything that the value of it increased, you have to transfer that from 1F to 4B. Any questions on that? This is very cut and dry. It's straight out of your record books. Drop the numbers in there. If there's something you're not sure what it means, hover over the green question mark. It will give you examples of that. Okay, so the next thing we get to is the ending current inventory. This information comes from your inventory pages in your record books. You can see up here if Alex had that 20 acres of soybeans and she still had some on hand, and let's say she had 100 bushels, and the ending value is $800, and then she could hit add, and then that would record that information there. So that's how you add information to it. Once again, editing and deleting is the same way. You can see where Alex has her inventory that she has. Any of those pieces, again, all come out of your record books. And then the next page is your non-current ending inventory, and those are all there. So this is where buildings go, land goes, machinery and equipment, depreciable and non-depreciable breeding animals. Any questions on those? I went quickly through those because those are relatively self-explanatory, but happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. Okay, we're going to the assets page. This is a page where you can't put in any information. It's all plugged in already. But if you're wondering where it came from, click on it, and it'll take you back to the page in which that information was entered. So I clicked on the $800 on the assets page. It took me back here. This is where I entered that information originally. If I wonder what it is, click over my green question mark, and it'll tell me that. Liabilities is the same way. Click on it. It's going to take me back to the basic setup page and see that I did not have any liabilities. Next page I'm going to go to is the net worth page. Again, this is all information that is drawn to this page from other places within the application. As you can see, a lot of this stuff comes from the basic setup page, but then we begin to pull numbers from her income and expense statement, and all of these pieces come into play here. If this says not met or not balanced, you're going to hover over this green question mark, and it's going to tell you if it's a positive value, it'll be like this 0. If it's a negative value, it'll be in parentheses. So if it's a positive value, you've either overstated your assets, or you've not reported a liability, or you've understated your net income. Or if it's a negative value, in parentheses, and it says not met there, you've either understated your asset values, or overstated a liability, or overstated net income. What this means is every dollar that you say you've earned in your SAE, you need to either have still in your ending cash in hand, checking and savings, or you need to have invested it, or you need to have spent it. So it has to match dollar for dollar. For those teachers who are on the phone, in the previous state degree application, there was line 28, 29, and they could be off by, a certain amount, and it wouldn't be questioned. With the American degree application, and now with the new state degree application, those have to match dollar for dollar. So they're saying if you earned $1,000 in your SAE, you either have $1,000 in checking and savings, or you need to show where you've invested part of that $1,000 or spent that $1,000. So it has to match dollar for dollar. Any questions on the net worth page? So my advice to any of you who it says not met or not balanced, go back to your basic setup page and look at those numbers and see, could it have been money that I didn't record and that I've spent, or could it be money that I still have in my checking and savings, or could it be cash gifts or other earnings that I didn't account for? You need to relook at those numbers. The next page is the productively earned and invested, and this is the page that tells you if you qualified for the American FFA degree. There are 3 ways to earn the American FFA degree. You just have to have one. If you have all 3, that's great, but you either need to do option 1, which is productively invest at least $7,500, or earned at least $10,000. Option 2 is that you've productively invested at least $2,000, earned in your SAE at least $2,000, and have unpaid hours of 2,250. And then the last option is productively invested $2,000, earned $2,000, have unpaid hours productively invested at least $10,000, and have unpaid hours factor plus SAE earnings at least $10,000. And that's, like it shows you right here, it says lines 1G or IG and I3, E3 added together. So you can see that Alex has met on all those conditions. And, again, all these numbers are input from other places throughout the application. The next is community service. One of the things I want to point out with community service, you can see Alex has put all of hers in there. That looks great. It's the same way of in any other information like we've done throughout the application. I'm going to say she's going to work for Dove Foundation. She worked at the Women's Shelter, and it was 90 hours. We hit add. You can see it drops that information in there. Edit deletes the same way. We're going to delete that. And then we are going to look down at the bottom and see that community service has to be at least 3 different activities and a minimum of 50 hours. So, and a couple things we want to point out with community service, it can't be, I rake leaves for my neighbor. That's really nice of you, but that's really more of a volunteer thing to help your neighbor. It really needs to be a community-wide impact event that you did. And then 3 different activities. One could have been for the county fair project. One could have been for Dove Foundation. One could have been for your sorority. But they have to be 3 different organizations that you worked for in your community service hours. Believe it or not, National FFA is very particular about community service hours, so do make sure that 1, they serve the community, and 2, that you are 3 different activities and at least 50 hours. Any questions about the community service page? Next is the checklist. This is the checklist that will help you know that everything on my app is good to go. I don't have any discrepancies. I have everything that's there. I was trying to, on her cover page, take away that she earned her state degree in 2014 or 15. I can't remember when she earned it, but it wouldn't let me because it's Alex's application, which is a good thing. You don't want me changing stuff on it. But if Alex had been missing that, it would say state FFA degree, and over here it would say missing. And so the nice thing about this checklist is it not only tells you all your met things, So you may have a list of 10 more things that say missing, and then all you have to do is click on it.
Yeah.
Take back to that, and then you can enter that information in there. So the checklist, I think, is a very helpful tool for you. Alex looks like she's ready to print her application. So when you're ready to print application, you click on Print Application. You click on Generate PDF. One of the popular questions with Generate the PDF is, can I save it then on a flash drive or my hard drive or my laptop? Absolutely. You just can't work on it from there because it's in the PDF. It can only be worked on from online. So I've generated the PDF, and this is what the complete application looks like. This is the signatures page. You will need your parent signatures, your chapter president, your chapter advisor, your school superintendent or principal, and then you also need a guidance counselor or administrator at a college to verify your GPA. The state advisor or state executive committee signature, that's my signature, and I will fill that out once we recommend you for at the national level. Like, we'll send all of your information from our office to the national office. And then I'm going to scroll down, and one thing that's really important right down here is called the version number. The version number must match on every one of your pages. That's one of the things that we'll check when you send it into our office, and that's one of the things they'll ask you to check when you are completing your American degree. There is no version number on the cover page, the signature page, so what we always tell students is once you can get it to print without saying draft, print it, get your signatures, and then if you need to make changes, you can reprint it and keep that signature page the same because it doesn't have version. The version number doesn't matter. But the rest of the pages, the version number doesn't matter. So I'm going to just show you the rest of what the application looks like. Everything is very standard, level pages. This is what I meant by giving us descriptions. When you give a full description, then your page is full of all of her placement and exploratory experiences. And a matter of fact, she went on from one page and went into the next page. Same way with entrepreneur. When you provide a lot of description, you fill the page with all the activities that you did. So I'm just basically scrolling through Alex's application, showing you what a completed application is going to look like. Financial page. All of this looks very similar to what you actually saw on the application. There's the community service. And then here's the page that says she's met all the requirements on this app. And then here is the final checklist. And this is something we ask you and your advisor to do together. But basically it says, my signature page, I have all my signatures. Believe it or not, we'll get calls back from National FFA come midsummer saying they're missing some signature. So we try to catch it here before it gets to national, but those things are important. It's going to ask about your hours. It's going to talk about the community service. We're going to need to look at all these pieces, and when you make those check marks. And it'll say number 9, all those version numbers are the same. So this is what a completed application looks like. I am going to go back to the application manager, and when I try to print the application this time, it says checklist not met, but generate the draft PDF. I'm going to go ahead and generate a draft PDF so you know what that looks like. This is what an application looks like when it's not completed. It says draft, draft, draft. You will not get it to say, you will not get it to look like this until all these things say met. Okay? So that's really important. A lot of students get a little frustrated with that, but that is the way the application system works. Any questions about the application itself? I'm going to jump over to the procedures page I talked about earlier, but I don't want to do that until we've made sure everybody understands the application. Okay, I gave that a nice pregnant pause, so I will now go to the procedures page. This is a document for those of you who completed the intent form. I have emailed this to you, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have. But the top part of this tells you about the process that we use. Your section chair will be in contact with you, and they will complete a verification form. It's an online form that they fill out that they submit to us, and we have that on record when by the time we have your interviews. So those of you who joined us on the webinar today, thank you, because that highlights today's webinar. We really appreciate you doing that because this is a way to make sure everyone feels informed. I highlighted this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call. My extension is right there, 101. And the nice thing is I can look at your application and work things through with you if you have questions. So many of you already filled out the intent. That was due January 15th. So as soon as those intents were done on Tuesday the 17th, because we didn't work on the 16th because of Martin Luther King Day, I sent that list of all of you who filled out your intent to the section chairs so they know they have between January 15th or January 17th and April 1st to get a hold of you to do the verification committee work. And again, it's an online form that they fill out, and they ask you a bunch of questions, and they want to look at your books, and they want to verify your project. Your application is due to our office by March 1st. Let me be very clear. The application that needs to be sent is I need the original application with the original signatures on it, and then I need one copy added to that. So you actually have to send me two copies, the original with original signatures and then a copy of the original application. And the copy can be double-sided so that you can save yourself paper and postage because it makes it a little bit heavier if you were doing them single-sided. The original needs to be single-sided with original signatures, and then you make a copy of that. So you only have to send in two copies, but they need to be into our office by March 1st. Then between March 1st and March 10th, and actually this year it's March 6th, we are doing what we call the American FFA Degree Review Day. And I have a committee of retired teachers that review all American degree applications. They're looking for outstanding applications that we can flag as potential STAR candidates, and they're also looking for any errors in the application that may disqualify a student for the American FFA degree. Once the review committee has done their job, then so after March 10th, all qualified applicants will be notified of their selection process and scheduled with an interview date. So when you send in your application on March 1st, if you are out of state and want a phone interview, you just need to let me know that. If you also need to indicate, do you want to interview on Friday? Would you rather interview on Wednesday? What time of day is best for you? You can see that our interviews are April 5th through the 17th. And that is a Wednesday through Friday. We're hoping that Friday is good for some of you, as many of you go to community college and many of them do not have instruction on that Friday. So hopefully that is to your advantage. Interviews are scheduled between 8:30 in the morning and 6:30 or 6 in the evening. We're on the last day. We try to wrap up about by 1 o'clock so that we can make sure that we get that information finalized and out to our candidates. We do encourage you to ride together. So if I see I've got 6 kids from Lakeland College, I will try to put all of your interviews around the same time. I will also look, if you're from the same school or same high school and still in the same area, I'll try to put all your interviews near the same time so that it makes it more convenient for you to come over and get the interviews. Interviews do last about 15 minutes, so I know it's a drive just to have a 15-minute interview, but Illinois is still very selective in how we award the American FFA degree, and we believe that it is important to continue to have that interview. Plus, the interview also helps us determine who is going to be our star for farmer placement, ag science, and ag business. And to be considered for star, you must be present for the interview. So if you have interest in that, make sure you do a face-to-face interview. But we do allow phone interviews. Then the final selection, after everybody's done with their interviews, then we'll determine who our stars are, check membership, and then we will notify you in the form of a letter and an email both that you will be nominated to National FFA to receive the American FFA degree, and we'll have that done by May 1st. In that letter that you would receive from us, you will be invited to state convention to be recognized on stage at the state convention, as well as an American degree dinner that's right before that Tuesday evening session. So state convention this year is June 13th, 14th, and 15th. You would be invited to dinner on the 13th and then be recognized on stage the night of the 13th. It's a pretty quick recognition. It's not like the state degree where you walk through. It's like we'll have everybody from your district that's being nominated for the American degree stand in a semicircle. We'll say your name. You step forward. You step back. It is really simply a recognition process. Then your information then gets done to National FFA, and National FFA will review all of your application information over the summer, and they will notify us in early July if we have any candidates that have any issues. We take care of those issues, and then they will notify American degree candidates late July, early to mid-August, so sometime in those first couple weeks in August, probably right when you're going back to school, and all notification from National FFA comes via email. So I encourage you to make sure the email address that you give us on your application is correct, because all notification from National will come via email. And then they'll tell you what you need to know about being recognized at the National Convention. And then out at the National Convention, it's a lot like state degree, where they'll move you pretty quickly across stage, shake hands, grab your stuff. They'll do photos, official photos backstage. When they do the official photo backstage, they'll give you the information to be able to retrieve that photo, and then you will also receive a frame from sponsors that you can put your American degree, certificate, and key that goes in that frame. And so being present at National Convention is the only way to get that frame that holds the certificate and key. If you cannot be present at National Convention, all certificates get sent to our office, and then we mail them to you, the certificate and the key, but we do not have access to that frame because you have to be present to get that when you go to National Convention. And you cannot send in a substitute for yourself at National Convention. It has to be you. So those are just a couple of the details at National Convention. A couple other things. Don't put your application in a binder. Just send them as we said. Send in your original and your copy. Now, in Illinois, we do ask for some supplemental material. These are the 4 things that we ask for. We ask for your 2016 business agreement. So just take the business agreement out of your most recent book, make a copy of that, and add it to the end of the application. We also ask for skills, competencies, and knowledge. And it's a one-page document that's from your old state degree application. I emailed that to you. Those of you who filled out the intent, I emailed that to you. And it's also on our Illinois FFA page under downloads. Now, I say that. I'm not positive we've added that yet, but we've created it for it to be added. So let me look very quickly here. It is not there yet, but it will be very shortly. So, but again, I mailed that to you, but it will also be on our FFA site, or it's still in your state degree application. And it's called the Skills, Competencies, and Knowledge. You can take it out of your old state degree application and make a copy of it and add that to the application. And then the last 2 pieces that we ask for, and this can be done on one page, is that you give us a brief description of your SAE. Tell us how you got started, how it's grown, how it's progressed over the years. Do that on about half of the paper, and then the other half of the paper, do number 4, where you describe your personal goals, educational goals, career goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? And that's no more than a half a page as well. Again, these 4 items are Illinois specific. We ask for these. That is a part of our process. Again, we think that, well, it is the most prestigious award you can receive in the National FFA, and we add a few more pieces to make it a little bit more rigorous. You may talk to kids from other states that don't have to do these things, and that is true, but we do have this expectation. It's not very much, but it is additional requirements. So if by chance you just send me your application and you don't send these 4 pieces, these other 4 pieces, I will be contacting you, asking you to send it. It won't disqualify you, but you'll have to bring it by the interview. So you make sure we will require it, but it won't disqualify you. I'll give you time to get it turned in if you don't get it turned in originally. I don't like telling people that, but I will be forthcoming that I will give you the chance if you happen to forget to turn that in. So those are the procedures for the American degree process in Illinois. This was the application. Are there any questions? I'm going to go through our list of names. Sheila Fowler, do you have any questions while I have you on the line?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Alex Ruby, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Let's see. Blake, are you still on the line, Blake Edwards?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any questions?
No, not right now.
Okay, great. And then I also see Kate Gamble. Do you have any questions?
Nope, not at this moment.
Great. And then I don't know these other numbers necessarily. Madeline Hamill?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay, absolutely. Ashley Fisher?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Logan Crawford?
I'm golden, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Did I miss anybody? Like I said, I'm trying to make sure I get all these numbers. Happy to answer any questions if you have. If not, I'm going to very shortly click off the record button and stop recording our session and close out this webinar. Again, I just want to thank you for taking time to call in and get your questions answered. Tomorrow I will post a listserv message, and it'll have a link to this webinar so that other people can listen to it. So for those of you teachers that are on the line and you have students that need to listen to this or you want to listen to this, it will be posted on tomorrow's listserv. So again, thank you very much. Everybody have a great night and good luck on your American degree.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.